best value in the country, we have this 2005 Chevrolet Impala for only $99.99. But if that's too much, let's make it $79.99. For those of you who think that's still too much, with a little adjustment, now it's only $59.99. Still too much? Hit it, Scotty. Now that I've got your attention, you can have this one for nothing.
You know what it is. Southside Mitsubishi, man. Yeah. Welcome to the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Southside Mitsubishi, the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Southside Mitsubishi. We rep the Southside, going 10 years strong. We call our boss a G. He grew up on a farm. We deal Mitsubishis. We're large and in charge. Got chips, hot whips like the RV.
The Credit Mac Daddy is in the house, walking, talking, bringing it down. I know what you need. You need a car, one that looks good that'll take you very far. Got credit problems? Not these days. The Credit Mac Daddy gets you out of the haze. If you got a good job in $7.99, call the Credit Mac Daddy, leave your worries behind.
For the best value in the country, we have this 2005 Chevrolet Impala for only $99.99. If that's too much, let's make it $79.99. For those of you who think that's still too much, with a little adjustment, now it's only $59.99. Still too much? Hit it, Scotty. Now that I've got your attention, you can have this one for nothing.
You know what it is. Southside Mitsubishi, man. Yeah. Welcome to the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Southside Mitsubishi, the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Rep the Southside. Yeah. Southside Mitsubishi. We rep the Southside, going 10 years strong. We call our boss a G. He grew up on a farm. We deal Mitsubishis. We're large and in charge. Got chip, hot whips like the RV.
Sorry, that was priceless in my opinion. Nothing funnier than white folks trying to do rap music. Anyway, start with George. Here we go.
George Sandler, Stoville, Toyota. I'm going to give away a secret, everybody. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to show you my ace out of my sleeve. There it is. Are you ready for this? My special gentlemen are in the way west, in the wild, wild west. My man Ian, my man Jeff, the AutoHub show, people. These gentlemen are all about the customer experience. They're all about mentors. They're one of my mentors, people. Gentlemen, Ian, Jeff, you're truly one of my mentors. You're mentors to me and hundreds of people across the car business, from the East Coast, the West Coast, the North Pole, the South Pole. I've been on your show all the way from Greece. Gentlemen, you're looking for the best of the car business. You're looking for the best show in the business. The AutoHub show. A man Ian, a man Jeff. One man, one place. George Sandler, Stoville, Toyota.
Thanks, George. So we came up with a few books. These are Jeff's recommendations. So Jeff, maybe you can talk a little bit to the why for these ones.
Well, frankly, I have a frozen screen here. So these books are really awesome, everybody. I can't see your screen at all, Ian, but I got to tell you, I picked them, so they must be great. And they're really got to do with all sorts of subprime stuff. However, I apologize because frankly, I can't see them.
So the three books are The Art of F&I from Lloyd Trussell, The Automotive F&I Selling Guide, and then 76 Cash Making Deal Saving Closes by Joe Sabatini. I'm not sure. I haven't read them personally, but those are the books for this week. A disclaimer, nothing that's said on this show by any of our guests reflect our policy or the policy of the show in any way, or we're not associated with them in any way. Assumptions made on the analysis or reflective position of any entity in the past speaker, so on and so forth. Essentially, this is our cover your ass statement. What people say on the show is really their opinion and their opinion alone. This is also on our website if you want to review it. So today's show is the Alternative Finance Show. So we have 3 great guests. So thanks very much, first of all, for coming on the show. And I'm going to go ahead and start with that. I'm just going to turn this off and we'll go from there. So our guests, go ahead. Yep.
So our guests today are Kim McPherson. We go by Kimberly. I don't know what you prefer, but Kim, founder of Buy It Smart Auto and Sell It Smart non-prime training in that sprawling vacation capital of Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is under 19 feet of snow today. So Kim, could you just take a moment and introduce yourself?
Well, that's pretty much it. I've been in the car business since '96. Started selling brand new Toyotas. Fast forward to 2001, and I was introduced to a customer who I had worked for as a sales professional for about, oh God, it was a few weeks anyways. We were back and forth negotiating, we were back and forth. And finally, we found a minivan that met his family's needs and lifestyle. They moved into the van one Saturday at about 10 a.m. in the morning, ready for a scheduled delivery, when I got a page to the finance office to say that my customer was not approved, and to send them home. So since then, I started thinking about ways that we could help this customer. The problem was very small then. As everyone knows, the problem is very large now and only growing. And so I had gone onto the retail side, was owned a super sale company, a marketing company, was introduced to the non-prime market in the US market, and started back in 2008. 2006, opened a non-prime training company. I was a consultant up until the last 2 years and still am, but have opened Buy It Smart here recently in the last 2 years, where we help our customers get pre-approved for auto loans and then match them to vehicles that meet their needs, lifestyle, budget, and bank approval. And here I am.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us and taking the time. A new guest to the show is Sean. Sean, I apologize if I don't get your last name correct. Wides, who has a great title, the Vice President of hard to say one. Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at lowestrates.ca. Hi, Sean. Welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Jeff. You got the pronunciation correct as well. I'm impressed with that. So I'll
couldn't say strategic, but
strategic partnerships, yeah. So lowestrates.ca, I'll tell you a little bit more about the business than myself, because I'm not that interesting. But the business has been around for 9 years, and you can think of lowestrates.ca in the same manner as Expedia is for hotels and flights. We go out to financial products, whether that's insurance, mortgages, credit cards, etc., to help consumers shop and compare online to find the best price for them. And so we were really an auto insurance first client business, 9+ years ago. And we actually sell 40, 50,000 auto insurance leads a month to banks and direct writers and insurance brokers across Canada. And what we found in there realistically was that there's a ton of these auto insurance clients that were looking to buy new vehicles. And so we said, we've got to get into this business somehow. We got to figure out, we saw competitors doing very, very well at it. And we failed miserably out of the gate and made a ton of mistakes, to be honest with you, and kind of reinvented it and got back into the business last year at a much higher level. And we have about 400,000 Canadians come to our site every single month, unique visitors. So I'm not in the trenches like yourself, but I can give you a different perspective of what we see from consumer behavior.
Terrific. Thank you. And you know what? This is all about different perspectives, because people tune in to find out things. And if we all do it from just everybody's own little in the trenches look, it's great having something from 20,000 feet. And last but certainly not least is Nick Basha, is the Director of Finance from Skip the Dealerships, not Skip the Dishes, which in many places right now isn't very popular. in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Nick, thank you for joining us. Tell us a
Oh,
bit
you're
about.
very welcome. Well, the difference is that back in 2011, it's actually much more like Kim's story. I was a retail finance manager for a dealership, it was a Suzuki, Winnipeg Suzuki, and at that time, when customers that were coming from northern Manitoba, traveling 8 hours, 12 hours, just to come in to get a kind of like thank you for showing up and go shop somewhere else. When a customer says like, why can't you just get me approved and call me with the approval? Why are you wasting my time? Well, this actually like stemmed from a very young lady who had just become a doctor from Manitoba, moved to Thompson. So she said to me, you know what, I prefer that you just tell me I don't get approved over the phone rather than me actually spending thousands of dollars and a lot of time traveled. So that just like, came to my mind thinking like, why can't I just do that? So you know what, we came up with a name, complete different name. It changed back in 2012, skipthedealerships.ca. And since then, I've worked with many dealer groups such as Auto Canada. I've worked for Birchwood Group as a different and good positions. So really, I did not put as much focus on my company as much as I'm actually tuned in now. So before I move into the the nitty gritty of the business, basically. Skip the dealerships. We're changing the way the buyers are looking at us. I'm not really interested on the customers that they just have bad credit. We're looking at all platforms such as miners who are in the northern communities, First Nations, like really we're not really looking at only bad credit, because not only bad credit should be able to get a vehicle from the comfort of their home. And especially in today's market, customers don't want to come into dealership. Customers don't want to be, they just want to buy it from their own home, like, zero travel to save their cost, so essentially changing the way the buyers are thinking. It is a big uphill, but I think that, eventually we will come into the, where people are going to be more comfortable buying from their home. Also, I spent a lot of money, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, in buying leads from various lead companies. And based on those, buy from me, we approve everybody. 90% of the leads basically.
Basically? Nick, you're muted, man.
There we go. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Nick, it's very interesting how you said that thing about the traveling, because my first question actually deals with this, because in the old days, we were always taught, that finance manager would say, look, I'm getting trouble getting them approved, got them done on an alternative way of financing, but don't say a word until they get down here, because then we'll just stuff them into it. And by the way, pull that focus up so we can roll them even though they're looking in a truck. But in the past, subprime or alternate financing, of course, has been seen as a way of taking advantage of buyers. Many of them shouldn't even be buying a car at all. How has this changed over the years? And we'll actually start with Kim, who's the subprime specialist.
That's been a how do I say this without possibly insulting anyone? That is a statement that a prime customer says. That's a statement that somebody who has the ability to do whatever they want financially says. That's not the statement of somebody who is just recently gone through a divorce, sees their kids on the weekend and works in a construction site and doesn't have the ability to get to the job. So we have to think about how our customers, how are they coming to us, and stop thinking about how in the industry, in the retail industry and automotive, we're very bad, quite frankly, at understanding from our customers' perspective. We seem to constantly want to shove our own process, our old ways of doing things. Like, we're still pushing test drives with customers, people. Like, come on, we've got to get into what is our customers, what are they saying to us? What do they need from us? And never before has it been important for us to listen to those needs and match them with a vehicle that meets their budget and bank approval. It comes from a place of privilege when we say, oh, it's bad to get into the non-prime market. It's not bad. You need a plan to be able to educate your customer. I happily, and I sleep every night putting people into even sometimes 32% loans. But what I won't do is put them in a 32% loan on the vehicle that they want. I'll put them in a 32% loan after I explain to them how I'm going to pull them out of that 32% loan in 8 months. And the way that we're going to do it is on this $8,000 vehicle that you're going to make your payments on time, all the time at $300 a month, so you can get to work and keep that job. And then in 8 months, I'm going to pull you out of it, and we're going to draw probably $6,000 in negative equity over to the next loan. But I'm going to drop your interest by 15%. And then we continue, and then we go on and go on. So never before has it been, it's more important for us to listen to our customers, to really get right with non-prime. If you're in it, like, you got to understand it, you got to get right with it, and you got to be able to educate your customer and articulate the plan for them that goes beyond, let's shove them into a vehicle. You just can't do that anymore. And if you're not authentic and real, then you're kind of screwed that way. You've got to be able to tell the truth, explain to the customer how it works, and then they'll understand their positioning on it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So many people actually get delivered a vehicle and have no idea what they're going to do when it's not what they want or whatever, and there they are in a year going to another dealer who's saying, "Oh boy, are you buried?" Sean, how about your take on this? Seeing as how Nick looks like he's gone offline for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're fortunate. I'm out in Kelowna, BC here. We have a call center here that we work with, and we do other divisions to speak with consumers and hear some of their stories. It's a pretty rude awakening for pretty fortunate people like ourselves that, mothers, fathers, I take the bus to 2 hours each way to get to my employment. I've got a kid who has to stay in daycare till 6 o'clock at night, and they get there at 6 a.m. in the morning. These are heart-wrenching stories when you actually talk to these people, and you're helping somebody's life dramatically. Now, as Kim said, as long as you're not pulling them into something that's going to put them in even a worse situation down the road. So it definitely needs the right person that's managing these and helping these people get through their situations. But there are some really challenged people that really can use the kind of hand up and help. And they kind of felt many times that they had no opportunity. They had no chance. It was a desperation application to talk to somebody thinking, I've got no hope or chances here. And when they get that opportunity, it can be a life-changing event. So there is huge opportunity for alternate financing to be extremely helpful to consumers. And I think I'm a big advocate of it in the right way, done in the right way.
Perfect. Thank you. Ian.
Yeah, so I agree 100%. I think today, when you look at listening to customers has always been important, but today, especially with remote buying and fear out there of different things going on in the marketplace, it's even more important to really listen to customers before you develop a solution and make sure they have clarity. And I think Nick was talking about this a little earlier when you had people, driving 8 hours from northern Manitoba to show up and only be told, well, we can't get you bought on the car. Thanks for coming in. So how does the process of subprime vehicle sales differ from prime sales, in your opinion, Kim?
It's really easy. Frankly, it's just inverted. You're just flipping it upside down. So what we traditionally used to do was have our customers visit the finance office last, and the buy it smart way, or the smart way to buy, we believe pretty much, anything that's a high ticket item, absolutely a vehicle, regardless of your credit situation, you should be able to speak with a finance manager before you get started. If you're at all curious, uncertain, have questions, want to understand how finance works in auto, there's so many people out there looking for the cheapest vehicle, not understanding that the cheapest vehicle, most cases isn't even a vehicle that we can finance. So people just aren't educated today. And, there's a whole lot of steps in between, and how do we how do we educate our dealerships to be able to be open to a different way of presenting that retail process. But more and more, as we look at just the credit going in the direction that it's going, COVID putting, so many people out of work, even if just for a short period of time, means that the market is flooded right now with people that are uncertain of what they can do. And if they're talking to a salesperson and falling in love with a vehicle first, it's just a waste of time. So the simple answer is you just flip the process upside down. And, what I say when I'm training dealerships is have your salespeople open their ears. And when a customer asks anything related to money, it's hands up. You know what? I don't handle that. Let me introduce you to the finance manager, because there's more questions that are layered in that maybe one question, which is, what's your interest rate? Well, interest rates don't go with dealerships. They go with people and their credit. It's a complicated answer. And if we're just saying 0%, you can get 0%, you're lying. So it's real simple. If you don't really know the answer, you really shouldn't be answering it. And anything that's a question related to finance in the beginning of the sales process, whether it be on the phone, online, or in dealership, should be reverted to somebody who can answer the question, which is a finance manager, preferably a trained finance manager that understands how to work a process finance first.
Fair enough. Sean, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I mean, at lowest-rates.ca, we use rate as a bit of a marketing piece as well as we want to save Canadians money, but we also want to introduce them to someone to get advice with. And the difference with prime and subprime is dramatic. Prime, I'll use a mortgage example. You get a 1.59 mortgage rate today, and someone might go and say, no, I want the 1.58. It's 1 basis point, which is like $5 a month on a $500,000 mortgage, for example. And they'd rather have that discussion than actually have a discussion about advice. Prime people tend to be actually, in some cases, less loyal and think they actually already know all the answers and will shop more than any other clientele that we have. Whereas the subprime client actually is looking for help. They actually want to hear your advice and get approved. And they will actually be more loyal to you in the long run, because you're actually going to walk them down the step of improving their credit, improving their interest rate, and getting them into what they really want to be into. So I find the subprime clientele is way more conducive to listening to proper advice. And the prime is probably going to be the person that will leave you to go for 1 basis point difference in rate elsewhere, or $100 on a car elsewhere.
Totally agree.
And it looks like Nick is back. Nick, are you able to?
Yeah, sorry, my Zoom crashed, and I'm like, ah! Oh my goodness, it's like, you have an approval, it goes sideways. Sorry about that. I apologize.
So the question was, how does the process for subprime vehicle sales differ from prime vehicle sales?
Well, Ian, we've chatted many times, and really the process, I believe I personally treat them, a prime and non-prime, exactly the same. And there's 2 reasons. Okay, the customer who's non-prime, they know they have bad credit, they know they're challenged, they know they need a vehicle. But the prime customer, they know they can buy a vehicle from someone else, but they truly like you. They know they're going to give them the best service, going to give them the best price. You're going to meet their demands, and they are going to be a customer for life. In the years I've been doing this, I have over 15,000 customers, loyal customers. Okay, so every single one of them, I've taken them from selling a baby light blue SUV to actually selling them $150,000 trucks. Look, I think that, if you treat the prime and non-prime the same, your results are always going to be loyalty. That's my thing. And I understand 100% that the prime customer can actually leave you for a point. for example, on the mortgage. But in the auto industry, you know what? We actually have a lot more to play around. For example, having many dealerships in my portfolio, I can actually go get them a 0% from a Ford dealership. I can get them a 0% at the GMC. I can get them a 0% at Toyota. But the thing is that how does a customer know, right, that I am doing this? And unless you show them, they will know. So I really truly think is that if you tell, the communication is 100% the pinnacle of the sales in this whole prime or non-prime. If you let them know where they at, if you let them know what you're doing, and if you let them know what the outcome is, 100% those customers will stick with you. I really truly believe so. I just did a deal that was 819 beacon score. We've got so tired by seeing, if you were to add 2 or 3 customer credit together, you wouldn't amount to that much. But you get that guy 819, you know, his CFL kind of guy. You know, he knows he can buy a car anywhere, but if he had shopped 2 or 3 other dealerships, didn't get the results he wanted. He had a budget, he wanted to stick with it. And you know what? Really and truly, we delivered him the pickup truck he wanted. He had an EcoSport he wanted to get out. I mean, he's a big guy for an EcoSport, but really, truly, we had to massage the deal and just let him know where we at, and also let him know what the difference was dealing through the dealership versus working with a skipthedealerships.ca kind of results, or that treat them all equally. That's it. That's my take, and that's the approach we have.
Fantastic.
It was funny when you said CFL, and then I'm sitting there going, is that customer for life or is that Canadian Football League? And then when you said he's pretty big for EcoSport, I knew it was.
Then you knew what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, though. It's the challenges are there, but the opportunities are as well too. Because really and truly, like, you know, how much are we listening to the customers? One of the things I always take from Ian, he says, Nick, you know what, man? We all can get that 5 or 10% customer. What about the 90%? And I really think that, you know what? Every time I do think of a customer, I don't think of the 10% opportunity of my customer. I do think of the 90% of that customer. And that's a thank you to you, Ian, because of all those good conversations we've had.
Thanks, Nick.
So another question is, what's the number one misconception of non-prime financing from both the dealer's perspective and from the consumer's perspective? And Nick, we'll let you start with them because you got cut off.
Well, you know what? Here we go. I think that this is the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge, the dealership actually are still residing in the old days where they think, you know what, this non-prime customer, it's like almost like you're wearing a dirty shirt from 2 or 3 days ago. They just have nothing to do with them. But at the end of the day, what they want to see is a 10 pay. So they will say, did you sell that, you know, old beat up truck that just came in trade to that guy because he deserves it? Okay. Versus like, you know what, let's see how we can help them. Those are the things that, you know what, even this 2021, it has not changed yet. The mentality has to be completely cleansed, and really it takes time to get that in order to get that momentum where the dealerships see the non-prime customer no different than a prime customer. As a matter of fact, you know what, your prime customers are very impatient. They want the vehicle they want it now. They want the best interest rate. They want to be clean. They want to be gas. They want to have tinted windows. They want to have some extra specs in the car, possibly if you can for free. But your non-prime customer, it's your patient customer, it's your loyal customer, and it's going to buy customer. So why not just really put together a good package, keep them happy, and you have that 9 to 18 months to really bring them back in and reconstruct the deal, get them off those high interest rates. You know what, really, almost on the same payment, they can drive a brand new vehicle 2 years from now. And really, truly, I think that most of the dealerships, what they have done is that they have taken the customers and they're just running them through like the herd of sheep, like just get the numbers out, get the numbers out. But really what we need to do is we have to look at the customers, not like a spotted sheep, but you want to look at as everybody all the same customer, treat them with respect, give them the respect, let them know what their faults are. And most of the times those people actually do know what their faults is. So that's where I think the dealerships are lacking the customer service knowledge and the ability to contain and sustain and grow that relationship for future. And this is today why you have so many non-prime teams, that they are spread nationwide. That's the only reason, because the dealerships cannot maintain the good relationship or build that relationship with the customer. That's a non-prime customer, to eventually bring them to a prime customer. That's my very long answer to you.
Yeah, well, it's a great answer too, because some of the worst things you can do is treat a non-prime customer like a prime customer, or vice versa.
True.
So, Sean, how about your take on this? On the number one misconception?
I think the biggest thing is there's this negative connotation with non-prime financing. And I think most people would be shocked to figure out some of the Canadians now that are actually non-prime. I think you really need to start thinking about what does the middle class look like, and they are going to be, if not already, more and more your client. You see the indebtedness in Canadian households. You can go around any suburbia neighborhood and walk around beautiful homes and perfect families. And there's a ton of these individuals that are really, really challenged right now in their life. And I'm going to say more and more of that's going to be happening, unfortunately. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I can see more and more of that happening in 2021 here. So the mindset of who a subprime person really needs to change. You will be shocked of, well, maybe we need to rephrase it to a near prime, as we, in the mortgage world, they call it near prime, and it's more of a friendly way of saying subprime. But credit rating is going down for a lot of middle class people, and you're going to be shocked on the type of people that walk into your door for alternative financing.
Great. Yeah. So, Kim, I see you sitting there going,
So I would say there's three things from the dealership's perspective as a trainer. What I would hear is non-prime's bad. There's no money in non-prime. And I would say that another problem that they would give me is it takes too much time. So too much time to work a non-prime deal. It's bad for the customer. We should you should never put a customer in a high interest rate loan, and there's no money in it. Those are three of the major misconceptions. They couldn't be farther from the truth. We do business profitably, ethically. Our customers are ecstatic with us. We've got a 4.9 Google rating, and we average $4,500 a copy, mainly with good product in the back and reasonable prices in the front. And we got a great success record. As a trainer too, teaching other dealers, I have clients that have great success records over the last even 20 years now, taking their customer out of high interest rate loans and putting them over time. And the time frame now is shorter. When I started doing this in 94, it would be like, you couldn't pull your customer out of a 30% loan in 8 months like you can right now. The programs are unreal with the banks. So the profit is there. You can do it morally and ethically sound and still make really good money. The timing is the fault of the dealer because they're not well trained. So if somebody thinks non-prime takes too much time, it's because they're working the process ass backwards. We've sold the vehicle, we've committed the customer. Now they're sitting in the finance office 2 days later when they thought they were coming in to pick up a delivery, but they're actually being sold, hey, sorry, you didn't qualify for 0. You're really at 11.9, which is a great rate for somebody out of bankruptcy. But now the customer's pissed and they're like, oh my God, like we just, we negotiated for however long, and now we're at a, $650 payment when what we said yes to that SUV was $589 or whatever the story is. So through proper training, those misconceptions can be squashed. And as far as it being bad for the customer, we've all agreed to this now. I think everybody understands that with the programs that are out there with the banks and with somebody who's educated and able to speak to their client looking to purchase a vehicle with some credit issues, if you can educate them on the process, they will take you know, I have a famous track line I say with a lot of my customers. Track line's probably not the right word, but it's something that I use all the time. Before we get started, you know, after explaining them how it works and that we're very similar to mortgage brokers, I'll ask them to give me a little detail about the type of vehicle that they're looking for. And we talk about wish, want, and will take. So I've got, no matter how the credit comes back, I've got a solution for them that eventually they can take back the control and get into their wish vehicle. There's no reason why. Like, the world is big and beautiful, and you can plan for your dreams, and you can also plan how to get there, even though you're in the worst credit situation. And, you know, we can actually help people do that. I think there's a huge misconception also on the consumer end, which is they have to come hat in hand to a dealership and say the words, "I've got bad credit today." And that is a damn sin. It's the challenge of our industry today to start looking at ways to communicate. And I believe, like, skip the dealerships, great way to do that. Lowest rates, awesome way to do that. Where like us at Buy It Smart, we're coming out into the world and we're saying, hey guys, like, you're not by yourself. Over 60% of Canadians, they don't necessarily have bad credit, but they have questions about their credit and they're not sure what they qualify for. And so what we do as Lowest Rates, as Skip the Dealerships, as Buy It Smart, what we do is allow you to ask those questions first before you go to a dealership and start looking at a vehicle. Find out what you can do. Find out what your credit can buy you. Talk to somebody so that you're not and, you know, you're not emotionally putting yourself and your family in a vehicle and then being told your payment's $700 a month when what you wanted to spend was $500, and $500's doable. $500's doable at any interest rate. We just have to manage the vehicle expectations. So there's my long-winded answer to your very short, awesome question.
Thanks very much, Kim. Question, this is a two-part question. And I found this when I was working with dealers across the country, was that certain types of dealers, what I'd consider mainstream dealers or certain brands, are against subprime. They don't want to touch it. They think it's you know, like a bad lunch or something. They don't like it. They think it's radioactive. What do you think? Yeah, they just don't want to touch it. They don't want to talk about it. They're like, I don't even touch that. So what do you think that is, number one? And then what do you recommend mainline dealers do to ethically promote alternative financing to separate themselves from dealers who self-finance first and then the vehicle? And I'll start with Kim, since she was basically talking about this anyway. Go ahead.
I'm going to get aggressive here, actually. Here's what I say to dealers that don't want to participate in non-prime. Bye. Yeah. I'm so tired of you, really. Okay. Like, as a trainer, how many times the opportunity's been laid out so many times. It's obvious that this is a growing problem. And if you do not want to be in the environment that is going to help Canadians continue to purchase vehicles from you, even though that market is growing and growing and growing, and you still want to close your eyes to it, then good luck to you. And maybe there is enough with some of these auto groups. I don't doubt that if, you know, I won't name auto groups, but the biggest ones that we all know of, if they decided, you know what, we don't want anything to do with non-prime, well, they can probably survive on the percentage of prime customers. And hey, that's your business model. Just like I kind of get excited that they don't want to, because that opens up more opportunities for, you know, for Skip the Dealerships, for Buy It Smart, for Lowest Rates, and other companies that are looking to, you know, help consumers and put their solutions in front of other dealers that that actually want to help people. And that's, you know, I think it's just really important that, you know, in non-prime, to the second part of your question, you know, if you want to get started in non-prime, you better learn how to do it. Like, stop going out there and telling people that you're going to be able to help them with their credit concerns and mess around with their credit. Like, you know, I now have to teach my staff, because this is so rampant, you know, everybody's just buying leads and putting them on desks. You know, there's got to be some kind of foundation. You have to know what to do when you're working with this customer and you're working with their credit. You're taking their time and you're possibly harming their credit, like not even possibly, most of the time. So that by the time, you know, so in some cases we'll get the customer and they're like, I could be, you know, we reach out to them on the you know, right after they make application on our website or through one of our ads, and it's like, who is this company again? And we have to have the conversation right away, which is the education conversation, which is, hey, if you're working with others, you can go and work with others, or you can choose to work with us. This is what we do. This is how we play ball. This is the benefit to you. Are you in or are you out? And it seems very aggressive that we have to have those conversations with some of our customers, usually like within the first 5 minutes. Now, because we've trained our people up to be very educated in this area, then they know when they're playing with somebody who knows what they're doing. So most of the time we get the customer that says, you know what, I haven't heard from anyone, or you know, I haven't got any answers yet, or whatever the situation may be. And we usually win the client that way. But hell, I would argue that not even 6 months ago or a year would you have to really worry about that. But now customers are kind of like swirl in the drain. You know, there's so many of them with so many opportunities going in so many different directions online, that when you do capture them, you need to be able to educate the customer right away off the bat and ask them for their commitment to work with you almost immediately.
So I have a question from Sue Finneron, who's on the call. She says, what would you recommend as a young person who wants to learn alternative finance that's not already working in the business? What would you recommend? How would you recommend they start?
Okay.
Kim, you want to answer that one? Or anyone can jump in.
I was gonna say, if that's okay. Sorry, raise my hand. The thing is that I'm really interested to know, and it's very aware, like, you know, what stems the ideology of her going into the alternative finance, because sometimes, like, you know what, it is a broad wrong intention that I am going to go in to make a pile of money, but the start of that would start actually by learning how to two ways you can do it. Number one is if you can go direct through the dealership and learn the process of the selling the car, so you really understand the timing it takes to put together a deal, right? So from the lead to delivery, so you understand the dealership process. And then the second way to do it is that find a team. I actually happen to have friends in Victoria Island that would be more than happy to help you out. But you would actually just start from being the customer service caller, CRM manager, then getting into the financing aspect. I really truly think it's so imperative to have a full understanding before you actually can wear the special finance manager hat. Even though a lot of dealerships, a lot of companies are throwing that name out there, just hey, giving it like a candy to kids that just go and do it. Really, like, you know, you need support, you need time, you need training, and you need the proper education, because even the retail finance managers cannot really truly understand the subprime or the non-prime business. And I've seen that from years and years. And the worst thing is I've seen it with veterans who have been in the business for 10, 15 years. They still don't know how to put together a non-prime deal. So my advice is, I would just do two ways. A, go through the proper, like, you know, go into dealerships, start selling cars, get familiar with the needs and wants of the customers. Then, you know, retail F&I possibly, or the second way to go is just go direct with a good, reputable team that will take you in and just show you the way. That's my advice.
All right. Anyone else? Kim or Sean want to comment?
I was going to say, I mean, if you're new to the business, working with someone like Nick, who's done it thousands and thousands of times, working with someone like Kim that not only does it, she coaches it, is imperative. Now, you know, we sell leads. We sold over 500,000 leads last year across different verticals in Canada last year. In Canada, and auto finance is a different world. We made a ton of mistakes in the auto finance lead generation perspective. as our own business until about last year and started getting a call center and scrubbing all the leads. But then we started, so now we started scrubbing the leads. We're talking to every single client, and then we started selling it. We sold it to a dealership. They bought 50 leads, and yeah, leads aren't any good. We're like, man, this doesn't make sense to us. Like we talk to these people. So then we rephoned every single lead, and we found like, yeah, nobody called me. I already bought a car. They called me like a week later. Like, are you kidding me? So you need to have a process. You need to learn what to do and how to do it. We use an analogy in the lead business like this, is if you had a retail shop in the old days, the retail shop, a storefront location, and we walk in, somebody walks in and rings the bell at the front desk. Okay. And I'm the consumer and I ring the bell and you come out and say, 1 moment, please. And then you turn around and you come back like 9 hours later. I'm not sitting in your lobby anymore.
Nope.
You know, the internet is your front desk of your retail location now. So when the lead comes in, they're sitting in your lobby, they're waiting to talk to you. And if you don't call them, they're gone and they're gone elsewhere. And then so dealers will go, you guys must have sold that lead twice. I talked to them 4 days later and they'd already bought a car. No, you just talked to them 4 days later. And that was the problem, or 4 hours later sometimes.
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours.
24 hours. We actually have, Sean, we have a policy in our company that within 24 hours, my finance managers, if they have not reached, we have our own CRM system. So we actually see lead comes in. If it's not processed, contact, emailed, phone called, that means that the next finance manager is taking that lead. There's no more that the lead is sitting on somebody's desk. We're, you have to streamline it. And this is where it came in, actually, the bad lunch, Ian. That is a bad lunch because you paid for somebody else to eat. You bought the lead and somebody else just sold the car. And then going back, and you know what? 2 years ago, I was regional manager for one of the largest automotive groups in Canada in the special finance. And that was our biggest problem. Our biggest problem was that lead came in and the calls never happened. Customer never got a call. They will get to it. They will make the phone call. They will send the email. But you know what? Really, no one did it. And then we spent hundreds of millions of dollars a month. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars a month. We had 17 teams nationwide. So just imagine how many mouths we had to feed, how many leads we had to buy to generate, to keep all those business and all those lights on. It was enormous. And really, truly, the bottom line came down to we closed 5%, only 5%. What happens to 95%? Where are those customers? That's what, again, goes back to Ian and I conversations we've had. Nick, everybody's worried about the 5%, but no one is worried about the 95%. And that's really has just shaped my thinking as well. Once again, how we do business and how we just go after those customers within 24 hours to reach and dedicate the time and give them the attention, because you're right. You know what? Everybody's going to call a bad lead.
Yeah.
And that's my take.
We have a turnaround with our team and certainly since I've been teaching it, the number one thing that I used to say to dealers that you need to look for if you're recruiting or if we were helping them to recruit somebody is if you want to get into the, non-prime, special finance, alternative, finance first is what I like to refer now. Customers that want to take a look at finance options before they take a look at vehicles. You got to be able to chase a lead. So when I hire somebody, they're first, they've got to get to a stepping stone of, so many sales where they're working with a finance manager and a sales manager. They don't touch dealer track. All they do is contact the customer. We got a 5-minute window. You got 5 minutes or I want the lead back. It goes back into a pool and somebody else can grab it on the team. And another thing that I've learned, certainly in the last 6 months, just from being the one that's investing in my own team with something to go to the dealership, help them find somebody. I'd have, the soft approach. Well, you got to call, you know what I mean? And I would hook up dealerships with lead gen companies. They're just investing, the 10,000. I'd come back and sit with the dealer principal and they say, oh, these leads suck. And I say, well, no, Susie's, you hire Susie from the prime finance department and she doesn't know how to pick up the phone and call somebody. You want a good non-prime person, you got to find somebody who's call center quality. They get on the phone, they chase down a lead, they know how to explain the process, they can collect the driver's license and a pay stub within 30 days, and they can shuffle that folder up to a finance manager that over time, then they can eventually learn how to start structuring a finance deal. But I can tell you from training so many people, you can teach anybody how to get someone approved. You truly can. The part you can't teach them is, can they form a relationship now over the phone? And can they get on the phone and track down the customer? Do they know how to call, send a text, send an email, and chase down the customer in a way that the customer will respond quickly? Because it's the 90% that everybody's just discounting. And I've purchased the lowest rates leads. They're awesome. We use them as fillers still all the time. A lot of the lead generation companies have great leads. It's just that if nobody's contacting them, then of course they're going to feel like they suck, but you gotta contact them. And the other thing I'll mention too, guys, that I've noticed in the last 6 months is rapidly changing in our industry from a finance first perspective is that you got 3 days. 3 days from contact to close. You got to put a vehicle in your customer's driveway in 3 days or somebody else is coming in. It's not the old days. If you think you're getting into the finance first market, the non-prime market, and you think you're going to be shoving anybody into a vehicle, you're sadly mistaken. These customers will shop around, and rightfully so. If they're not dealing with someone that they don't feel comfortable with, while using their, managing their time and their credit and holding the key to being able to get their lifeline, which is a vehicle, and you haven't earned that right, somebody else is coming along and they're going to scoop them up. So just be aware of that. I think process is everything. Having the right team is everything. And I'm really invested in, just getting attached to some people that can help coach you through it for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would agree 100%. I mean, the thing that amazes me, not just non-prime, but even prime leads. I would say that 90% number is just not acceptable. What are you doing as a dealership to chase that 90%? Like 90% fail is just not, in any business is not, in my opinion. I'm just.
It's a very high number.
I'm just like, what? How is that possible? So.
It's pretty shameful, the fact that show after show after show, not all we talk about, what always comes up with leads. And I was just thinking here, as the three of you were talking about this, leads have become the gym memberships of the automotive industry. Oh, wow. We pay for tons and tons of leads. A gym, well, these days, mind you, it's a little different story, but a gym counts on the fact that less than 10% of their members will show up because they have the capacity of only about 10%. Dealerships are paying money for leads. And by the way, we have a vendor speak show coming up very, very soon about leads for lead vendors. And Sean, any of else here that's in the lead business, please contact us, because we're going to have this. We've got two other dynamic, very dynamic lead companies coming in. But all of them talk about the fact that dealers are paying them through the nose. And they don't mind saying that. They're not expensive, but they're paying, 5 cents, $5, $10 a lead, and they get these leads and they're only handling 5% or 10% of them. And it's surprising. And I know some people that are making a killing by contacting everybody in a short period of time and getting them handled. And Kim, your point on you got 3 days is very true. Very true.
And any final thoughts for sensing us to time?
Tick, tick, tick. We know Sean's going to skedaddle in 4 minutes.
Sean, Nick, or Kim, any final thoughts?
Well, all I would say here is that you're going to see more people that were considered prime in 2018, 2017, becoming subprime. And these people have been in the prime shops. They have a prime experience in their mindset. And there's no reason they can't get a prime experience with a subprime credit rating. There's going to be more and more of it. And those that don't jump on the bandwagon are going to be losing market share. As Kim said, there'll be some that stay as is, but this is a massive opportunity. The dealership world needs to change the mindset. we certainly do from our perspective. And, to Ian and Jeff, I mean, really thank you for the time and the invite today, and happily do it again. And I apologize, I do have to run to my next appointment here, but really appreciate the time, and Kim and Nick, awesome. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Sell some leads.
Will do.
I'm going to bounce in with this opportunity as well too. But I'm just going to say quickly is that 2021, 22, and 23, we're going to be seeing like a mudslide of bad credit coming in. Dealerships with some of the big groups I've worked with, they have a finance manager, 17 customers average per month. And truly and honestly, what they want to look at the cream of the crop. So anything below perfect, it's going to go sideways. I think it's gonna be like a big waste of leads and customers if they're not dealt with the proper process in place, I should say, right from the get-go. That is going to be the 2021, 22, and 23. We're going to be seeing that. There's a mudslide of bad credit coming into the market. And I don't think that your typical dealership is prepared for that, because they only train the finance managers, 17 deals a month, and kind of slot all the good customers in. And the rest, they're going to be shopping. They're going to be falling into the subprime market, back to generated for leads, like for ourselves.
I would just say if anyone's, interested or looking at non-prime as a career move or looking to level up at their dealership, they can reach out to me anytime. That's never a problem. We've got online programs, and certainly just having a conversation about some best practices, totally open to that. So I think my contact information is around for anybody that wants to reach out. And as far as dealerships go, certainly here on the East Coast, what we're doing at Buy It Smart is you're hitching our wagon to the franchise dealers that either do not have the resources, can't afford to, don't want to put the budget together, or just simply do not want to do non-prime. They can send their leads our way. So we're trying every angle that we can to just help the non-prime or the less than perfect credit customer or near prime customer that just wants to be able to have that finance option available to them before they go shopping.
I do have to say in closing here, you mentioned earlier about dealer groups, and we all know who and what, and there's one large group that lives on subprime, and there's other large groups that like subprime is a dirty word. And with their power, if they would embrace subprime and call Kim McPherson or skip the dealerships, etc., their business would go through the roof, because their business model, it's, we don't talk about subprime. And if they are, well, the business managers may not get them, and oh well.
You know what? It goes to, and I'll just say this quickly, because having sat in these meetings where, if I'm going to pick a client in the old days, running around dealership to dealership, I'm picking the client that owns one, maybe two dealerships. People would say like, Kim, how come you don't get the big guys? And, you'd be set for life. And I'm like, the inner dynamics in some of those groups, they just can't, it's like I'm presenting a very simple process here with a very simple solution. But it almost is like the bigger it is, the harder it is to change those traditional ways sometimes. But yeah, the opportunity could be great, and it would make it makes my hair stand straight on end when I sit with GMs and just run their numbers on loss of revenue, let alone what they could be making. Just complete, if you sold 100 cars last month. And I use this example all the time because it was one that was like a common, we sold 100, we lost 20. And I'm like, like 20 at a $4,000 average is like, and we're going to complain about buying leads to get started or investing in training. We're talking about an instant
cash,
instant. Yes, exactly. So
well, these groups, it's so funny because these groups all have directors of finance and, vice president of financing, etc. And some of them you mentioned subprime too, and they don't know anything about it.
Well, the other thing too is, and I'll just, again, like I get so passionate about this, but the other thing is that the non-prime problem was never a finance problem. It's a sales problem.
Yeah,
Finance is the easiest thing to learn ever. Right?
That
And
is so
so
true.
we've targeted our dealerships and have looked to the finance people and have said, hey, finance people, which quite frankly, we have put them in their offices and put golden crowns on them, and nobody really asks them any questions in a lot of dealerships because we don't want to ruffle any feathers. And in a lot of cases, I believe the owners and the GMs don't even know what's going on in that office. They're just like,
100%.
we let
100%.
them do what they're doing.
I second
and then
that.
They come out and they say, non-prime's no good. It takes too much time, and just shit all over it. When there's a salesperson sitting on every sales floor in this country getting frustrated because they're selling their 30 cars a month and they're losing 10 of them. And if you ask them what their advice would be, they would probably say, why can't I just introduce them to somebody in finance and find out how much money this guy can buy when he comes in and he says, hey, I went bankrupt 2 months ago. Can you help me? And you're like, well, yeah, I'm sure we can get you approved. Let's go for a drive in the Jeep. You're like, like there's your finance person right there. The one that's complaining every Monday saying, I keep losing these deals. You could put them on the phone and say, hey, call all your non-prime people and say, hey, you're right. I mean, this would be the worst. This is the worst way to approach it, but it's better than having them all die. Take all your dead deals at the end of the week, put Johnny Rookie, on the phone and say, just call them up and say, hey, we couldn't get you approved on that Jeep. When can you come in? Book an appointment with our finance manager. We'll find out how much money you can get, and then we'll match you to some vehicles that meet your budget and the bank approval. And I bet you they would get some wins. It's not the greatest way to do it. I try to catch them up front and have a program that pushes them in the right direction from the beginning. But there's a lot of hungry salespeople out there, which just given the rope would be able to run with the non-prime department. Stop asking your finance managers. They're not in that game. They're in the prime finance game.
It's like a diesel mechanic. It's like almost like you have to treat the subprime and your retail finance managers as a diesel mechanic and an electrician. Okay, those are the two different spectrums, right? I might just use that term, that analogy, like a diesel mechanic. Very quickly, I want to just add one more thing because I know time is running really short, but I just watched one of the dealer groups that I worked with, butcher a deal that we could have been like nothing but a great deal and a great experience, taking the deal from trying to make 10 pay and lost the deal completely because they didn't know how to structure the deal. They thought they had enough money. They thought that this and that this, delivered the vehicle 900 kilometers away from the dealership just to find out that subprime was not the prime finance manager's job. So it cost them near $10,000 just trying to keep the non-prime in the house. Once again, diesel mechanic, electrician. Yeah. Don't try to get the diesel.
Most importantly, they pissed off a customer. They didn't manage their expectations, and that customer contacted somebody else and was in a vehicle that afternoon.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They did all the legwork.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is that to second what Kim was saying is that 100% the retail finance managers are just driven to do the process, and that's it. And they are not, if they are not going to be doing that 700 beacon score right now, deliver right now, right, sell and roll. Well, you know what? You really have to take your time. You have to look at what's missing here. And this is the issue: is that the general managers, finance managers, and the general sales managers, I don't think that they really see the financing as the pillar, fundamental of the dealership. And really, like now moving to the digital sales, I think that we're going to start seeing like far more marginal deals, like $400 to $500 per deal versus $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per deal that we used to see. And that's the skinny side of the dealerships. They're putting all their eggs in one basket. Let's go digital, drop the prices, bring all the customers. The good ones will buy. The ones that they don't get approved, oh well, who cares? Missed opportunity, it's far greater than found opportunity.
No question. Thank you all very much. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Someday I'd forward to meeting all of you in person. You know, it's when we can all travel, etc. Kim, you become an old friend of us, and who knows what we look like in person. Yeah, we have hair. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy. Stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.